You probably clicked on this video because you're thinking about investing in Des Moines. And what I want to do is make it incredibly easy for you to determine, is Des Moines the right place to invest for you? So for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to go through the things you need to know about investing in Des Moines. My name is Darson Grantham. I'm a local real estate agent and investor. Before I became an agent, I started investing in real estate, which prompted becoming an agent to help folks like yourself invest in the area. And so in this video, I'm going to share the things that I should have known when I started investing, the things that clients of mine have told me that they wish they would have known before they invest in the area, and how to pick the right property, or if that property even is in Des Moines. I want to help you determine that. So things to expect in this video are, what is the philosophy that you need to have when you're investing in Des Moines? The economics of Des Moines. Are there high-paying jobs, low-paying jobs? Where are the jobs centrally located? Or are they in different suburbs? Or maybe are there suburbs that maybe travel into the core of Des Moines to take jobs? Housing market trends. You need to know what's selling, what's not selling, where other investors are looking, and where maybe some investors are not looking that you should be looking to take advantage of that low-hanging fruit. The next topic is the locations that you should be or maybe shouldn't be investing in the metro. Are there high-paying jobs, low-paying jobs, different areas of the metro that maybe you should invest in or maybe you shouldn't invest in? Asset classes. In investing, you as well as I know, there are different asset classes. In real estate, there's even asset classes within real estate investments. You have single-family homes, you have small multifamily homes, short-term rentals, long-term rentals, medium-term rentals, large apartment, multi-unit properties. So I say large 5+ units. You have commercial units, commercial storage, commercial warehousing, all of that. I'm going to kind of talk through the differences and where they're at in the Des Moines metro. And then building a team. As an investor, you're probably looking for an agent, you're looking for a property manager, you're looking for someone to help you on the lending, probably multiple people to help you on the lending. You might want to find properties yourself and take the agent out of it. I'll kind of walk through what that might look like and how you could go about that. The first thing that you need to think about is your philosophy of investing. And in that is, what is your risk factor? Are you a high-paid W-2 person, employee, and you literally have cash that you want to invest in real estate? You've done the research and you like Des Moines, but you don't want to have a lot of day-to-day interaction with the real estate investing in Des Moines. You want to be very hands-off. That might also be called turnkey. Or you're someone that has more time than money. I started out this way. I had more time than I did money, so I was willing to do the boots on the ground stuff to try to find a really good deal as opposed to being satisfied with a decent deal. And there is not a wrong way to do this. And I noticed this when I first became an agent. I had someone call me out of Colorado. They had a high-paying W-2 job. They literally had $60K in their bank account, and they said, I just want to buy a property in Ankeny, Iowa, rent it out for $2,200 a month and forget about it and come back in 10 years. And so well, you can't really forget about it, but you can absolutely use that method and you can be successful if you believe in the area that you're buying and the property that you're buying. What I did is I helped them find that. It was a pretty simple transaction. I helped them find a property that had really good bones, was a newer build in a location in Ankeny that there was more development going around, and there was also shops and restaurants. That was a type of property. I would love to get you set up on a filter that meets the criteria of the properties you're looking for. If you're an investor and you're trying to find flip properties, if you're an investor and you're trying to find turnkey rental properties, or just grandma's house that you're trying to maybe live in and house hack, fix up while you're there and then sell it or keep it as a rental in a year, please reach out to me. I can set you up on an MLS filter that instantly hits your inbox when properties meet the criteria. I've got a handful of investor criterias that I really think that you're probably going to want if you don't already have that set up. What I don't like about Zillow, which is probably what you're using to look at houses, is Zillow will hide properties from you just to get you to come back on the app later. So if they know you're really going to like a property, they actually could hide it from you on your filtering process so that you come back later. They're a tech company. They love big data. That's what they do. I've also helped people buy, rehab, refinance, rent, and repeat. So the BRRRR method. Those properties are a little bit tougher to find because you're fighting with other people that don't have money. And one of the things right now is investors that are coming to any market, they usually have more time than they do money. So you gotta do those things that other people won't do to get those deals. You need to know your wants and needs. And I can kind of help you figure that out, but really you need to be self-aware of this. You need someone to help you guide through that. And that's going to look like, do you want cash flow? Do you need cash flow? Do you want to combination of both? Do you want to set it and forget it type property, more a turnkey property? Have you had the conversation with your spouse of, hey, honey, we're going to drop $60,000 into a property and it's no longer going to be in our bank account? Are you okay with that? And if you are okay with that, what does that look like on a timing wise? Are you going to take away time with your family to talk real estate, to network in real estate, to look at properties, to fix up properties yourself? What risk factor do you have? What skill set do you have to do all of those things? And then competition. Where's the competition for the asset class that you're buying? Like I mentioned, the BRRRR, so your buy, your renovate, your rent, your refinance. There is a lot of competition in that market because it is the best way to buy real estate and have no true cash out of your pocket after about a year. Everyone wants to buy properties with no cash out of their pocket. So it's a very competitive market. Your turnkey properties, it's less competitive. Now, it's tougher to cash flow on a turnkey property, as you can imagine, but it is a less competitive market. So you can find those properties quicker and faster in better areas than what you're going to find in other asset classes. And then you're going to want to pay attention to what is your philosophy around negotiating and making smart offers. I say smart offers because there are a lot of factors that go into making an offer. I would say if a property is sat for 14 days, the seller is ready to see an offer. They listed the property, they went through the process, they want to see an offer. Us investors, it's hard for us to comprehend someone taking a discount on the list price that they listed, right? But when a property sits for 14 days, there is enough traction in today's market that the selling agent and the seller are a little scared and they understand that the listing price probably isn't the price that they're going to end up accepting. So if you're an investor and you're looking at a property and you're ready to negotiate, you can put an offer in below list price. And how do you want to do that? Do you want to do an as-is offer? Do you want to write in that the seller pays for maybe a new roof or a new AC or a new furnace? How does that negotiating work? Are you going to do a 5 business day inspection? Are you going to do a 10 business day inspection? Are you going to let the seller leave the property on the market during your inspection period? Like all of those are factors that you need to be aware of, you need to be comfortable with. And some of them will be pro seller, some will be pro buyer. And as a buyer, it's smart for you to give a little bit, bait the seller a little bit, just so that you look at your offer in a more positive way and you can still be protected on the back end. If something comes up during inspection, you're able to get out of the deal or cancel the contract. All of that comes into contracting and wording and putting in strong, solid offers. Next, what we're going to talk about is the economics of Des Moines. And when I say economics, we're talking about what are the jobs, what is the income, where are people working location-wise, number of homeowners, number of non-owner occupied owners, so that would be called renters, and the vacancy rate of the rental market in the Des Moines metro. So first, large companies. Des Moines in general, I was speaking, it had been three or 4 weeks ago, I was speaking to another agent, and we are just talking about Des Moines and the jobs that are in Des Moines, and he goes, Des Moines is oddly white collar for such a blue collar state. I was like, no, and then I think about it, and it actually is, because our biggest companies are financial companies, your Principal, your Wells Fargo, your insurance companies, a lot of ag tech stuff. So Des Moines metro is very white collar compared to the blue collar state of Iowa. And where that comes into play is Iowa is very landlord friendly. And so when you have a business friendly state, you have a currently Republican governor, Republican Senate, Republican House, your laws that are enforced are typically pro-business. And when you have a pro-business, more conservative-leaning legislature, you're going to have a more landlord-friendly state. Now, Des Moines is one of the most liberal cities or areas in the state of Iowa, but that's what you're going to get in most of the metros. Fortunately, the state in general is still very conservative and is very landlord-friendly. When I say landlord-friendly, if you follow the correct steps, you're going to get a tenant out of a property if they're not paying or broke the lease within 45 days. You can do it wrong, and it can take a couple months, but in general, it's about 45 days. City populations. So the Des Moines population is interesting because Des Moines proper has about 250,000 people. The Des Moines metro is about 750,000. We still haven't hit that million population mark. And my projection is once we hit that, we'll start seeing more bigger investor players coming to Des Moines. We are growing. It's not growing that crazy. I think we grew 1 or 2% the last 3 years. Comparative to other markets, that's really low. Comparative to Des Moines past, that's really high. And if you extrapolate that, 1% a year does put us at the million population mark fairly soon. And I say soon in a real estate perspective in the next 10 years. The other thing about Des Moines is the location within the United States. It's 2 major interstates cross. And when you have 2 major interstates cross, you have a lot of business that wants to be in that area because of the trucking system, train system, and loading system, the way that products move around the country. Also, we're in the middle of 2 rivers. We have multiple ways to ship products throughout the United States. And when you set a city in that area, area, you are going to be in the middle of everything. You aren't kind of isolated to, if one type of industry shuts down, the whole city of Des Moines is going to shut down. It hasn't been shown, hasn't been seen, and the diversity within the Des Moines metro doesn't show that. Now on to the population and where their salaries are. The median salary for the Des Moines metro is about $67,000 for household income. So the next thing we'll get into is the population of Des Moines and what is everyone making? What are the wages that people are making? If it is so white collar, what are the wages? And what I've determined and what I've found is the median income for an individual is about $67,000 a year. So you put a household income, you're looking at $120,000 a year, roughly. That is, again, median income. There are definitely people that are making less, definitely people that are making more, but that does give you an idea. And when you're comparing Des Moines against other cities, I highly encourage you to pay attention to that stat, because that's going to tell you where rents are going, either up or down, or where they're currently at. Because you got to think, most people are probably not paying more than 30% of their income toward rent. When you have, that's just a rule of thumb, right? So if you had rent that is way below that 30% of $120,000 household, then you know that there is a potential that rents can go up. Likely they're not going to go down, because people have the ability to pay rent. The next thing you want to know as an investor is the percentage of home owners versus the percentage of renters. And Des Moines is not that far off from the national average. The Des Moines homeowners is about 60%, meaning 40% of the population are renters. That is really close to the national trend. Now, as an investor, my question on that is how many sellers are non-owner occupied owners? Meaning, how many investors are selling, or are they all holding their properties? And so of the total transactions, about 15,000 transactions happened in 2022. About 10% of those were non-owner occupied sellers. So what that means is investors are selling. The turnover rate of that is about 10%. So when you're looking at the MLS and the properties that are listed, about 10% of them are non-owner occupied sellers. That helps you understand of, hey, are investors selling or not? And then we get to the last and a very important stat that I want to talk about is the vacancy rate. And the vacancy rate in Des Moines is going to range anywhere from 3 to 7%. Anything above that likely means the property is not being managed well, or is lower quality or priced higher than what comparable properties are. And I come from there, I don't give an exact percentage. And you'll notice it's 3 to 7%. You're like, that's almost double the differences. And the reason I say that is because I've talked to dozens of property managers, including one of the biggest property owners in Des Moines, which is high-end property that's owned by one of the biggest real estate companies in Des Moines, and their vacancy rate was 3%. And these are properties that are A-class rental properties. And when I heard that, it's way lower than what anyone talks about in the national media. And so when they're saying that their vacancy rate is 3%, we know that their data, and there's no reason they would lie about their data, and they're continually building new high-end rental properties in the Des Moines metro. And when both of those things happen, you know that the rental market, especially in the high end, is very promising for Des Moines. So I look at the big names, when what they're doing, I want to pay attention to that. Kind of like you want to buy properties near where Starbucks are being built, right? Because you know they've already done their research. You know that that makes a lot of sense for them. And so why wouldn't you buy something similar? Because they know the growth or the population is moving that way. So next slide I want to talk about is, what is the housing market doing? I've kind of talked about that through the previous slides, but what exactly is the housing market doing? And one thing that I want to pay attention to is Des Moines hasn't grown crazy comparative to other markets. It's grown crazy for Des Moines, but not compared to other markets. And when I say that, the last 3 years, the craziest 3 years of growth in history of real estate, Des Moines on average went up 7.6% when we're looking at the median sale price. And what I'm talking about in Des Moines is Des Moines metro, not Des Moines proper. And I'll get into what that difference is here in a few slides. The other housing trend that I want to talk about is the multifamily listings in Des Moines. And the reason I want to talk about that is, as an investor, you're probably looking at single family homes for long-term rent, short-term rent, and medium-term rent. And then your next step is, what is the multifamily market doing? I will say, when I started researching properties in 2018, before I became an agent, there were anywhere from 40 to 60 multifamily properties on the market at any one time. And I say on the market, the Des Moines Metro MLS. And 40 to 60, that is every couple days, you're gonna have a sale of a multifamily property. Now, fast forward to 2022, we saw about 40 properties. There was almost never more than 40 multifamily properties on the market at any given time. And again, we're just gonna say multifamily 2 to 20 units. Generally, that's what we're looking at. Now, fast forward to 2023, the spring and winter of 2022, spring of 2023, which is where we're at now, the most you're gonna see on the market is 20 to 25 properties. So our inventory for small multifamily properties is incredibly low. I've had, over the last 2 or 3 months, a lot of homeowners or current renters that are looking to buy homes and house hack, they can't find properties that meet what they want. If you are watching this and you're a seller maybe, if you can list your property, it will go for a higher price than it has at any other time in history, even the craziest last 3 years. Now we're gonna get into where do you invest in the Des Moines Metro. And I'm just gonna say, you're probably an investor that is at least wants some cash flow. Probably why you're looking and watching this on YouTube. If you want some cash flow, you're probably gonna be within 2 or 3 miles of downtown Des Moines. If you go further than that, you're looking at some of the suburbs that are not gonna cash flow at all, right? You might be paying in every month if you take into consideration your repairs, your vacancy, your property management, and any capital expenditures. If you include all that stuff, that's where I come to the cash flow number. You're probably not gonna cash flow anywhere outside. Caveat being, depending on what amount of down payment that you put into the loan or into the financing. I would say you can cash flow on any property if you do not finance it. Like if you're not paying anyone interest, you're not paying down a principal mortgage, almost any property in Des Moines is going to cash flow. But it's when you start financing, you have interest rates 5, 6, 7, 8%, that's where the cash flow really dwindles. And so you need to figure out, kind of goes back to the risk philosophy, you need to figure out what down payment am I comfortable with on the price of property and what is that cash flow. Right now I'm helping an investor and he just wants to make $10,000 a month so he can quit his job. Now he's got a 1031, meaning he's got to transfer from another property into a property in Des Moines, and he just really wants to make $10,000 a month. And I will help him do that, but that's gonna look like probably a $2 to $3 million loan and then a down payment on top of that. It depends on your risk philosophy. Now, when I say within 2 or 3 miles of downtown, I use downtown because that's kind of the core Des Moines proper addresses. And when I say Des Moines proper, that's gonna mean the property's address is 123 Banana Street, Des Moines, Iowa. It's not gonna be 123 Banana Street, Urbandale, or Ankeny, or Clive, Windsor Heights, Norwalk. All of those are going to be suburbs. That's how I'm going to talk about this. Any of those, you're gonna have troubles cash flowing, or if you're financing at the 80%. That doesn't mean that those are wrong properties to invest in. I've done another video, and I'll link to it here, on what should you invest in, suburbs, or you should invest in downtown Des Moines or the Des Moines proper area. I don't care. I just want you to know when you're looking at properties. Another a really easy way to do this is go to whatever home search app you use and just go under $200,000. I want to see all the properties. That'll tell you where your cash flowing properties are going to be on a single family basis. Now, if you're looking at small multifamily, all of those apps suck, so don't use them. Email me, I'll set you up on a filter, and you can actually see the exact properties on the MLS that are small multifamily. For whatever reason, those apps don't accommodate to investors very well, but our systems and my filters that I can put together, they accommodate really well. And not a sales pitch, just go look at it or reach out to me and I'll set that up for you. The other thing about the Des Moines Metro and in general is you have small towns outside of the Metro that I wouldn't necessarily call suburbs because they aren't part of the Metro, but they do have properties that will come up occasionally and they will be much more affordable than your Des Moines proper properties. And does it make sense for you to invest in those? I'm gonna preface this, when I talk about the Des Moines Metro, Ames is not included. Ames is a whole different beast. If you're looking at Ames, I'm not your guy. I can refer you out, talk to you, tell a couple agents up there. I can share a couple agents' names with you if you are looking for that, so reach out. But I'm not gonna help you buy in Ames almost exclusively. Now, if it's small multifamily or commercial multifamily, I know that market well enough for those, but any small single family rentals, it's not gonna be my cup of tea. But your small towns like Earlham, like Winterset, down in Indianola, those properties are, I would call them small towns, even though you're at 5 to 10, maybe 15,000 population, a lot of those people are driving to Des Moines to make money, but they are kind of their own community. They're self-sufficient. They have their own grocery store. They have many of the things that you're gonna need if you want to live there. So rentals there do thrive, and the property taxes are usually lower, and the price of properties can be lower depending on the type of property. Those are good options if you want to cash flow. The problem with those are the property management that you're going to hire, they might not do an Indianola property management and your Des Moines properties. So if you have to hire 2 different property managers, I struggle with thinking through the efficiencies for you as an investor where that makes sense. I don't believe in it. My first properties were in small southern Iowa. They cash flow really well, but I couldn't find a property manager, so I had to sell them in the last few years. I didn't want to manage them myself. It was not worth my time. The next thing we're going to talk about is asset classes in real estate, not in general financial literacy, but in real estate. I don't think very many people talk about this. Real estate has asset classes. You can buy notes. You could be the bank. You can buy foreclosures. You can buy single families. You can buy multifamilies. You can have storage units. You can have mobile home parks. All of that, in my opinion, is a real estate asset class. If shit's a fan and things crash, not all of those asset classes will go down. They just won't, because they're different asset classes. That's diversified within real estate. I'm a local real estate agent. I want to get properties in front of you as fast as possible that meet your criteria. If you are looking for multifamily only, let me know. Shoot me an email below or shoot me a text with your criteria. If you don't have your criteria, just say, hey, Darson, I'd like to get set up on your MLS filtering only duplexes in Urbandale, only duplexes in downtown Des Moines. Or if you're looking to house hack, just let me know. We'll consult with you. We'll get some filtering set up so that you're getting emailed properties immediately when they hit the market. And you don't have to rely on the tech companies to make sure that they're showing you the properties that they want to show you. So I'm going to talk through the single family homes, which includes your BRRRR, maybe wholesaling, flipping, single family, small multifamily, like 2 to 4 units, long-term rentals in those, medium-term rentals in those. And then with your small multifamily, we'll talk about your built for purpose versus conversion properties. I'll show a few examples here of what a built for purpose looks like or a converted property looks like. And then you have the multifamily 10 plus units. And I'm going to stop there because I don't sell too much that's not falling in that category. If you want mobile homes, let me know. I'll hook you up with someone that does mobile homes. Storage units, again, I'm not your guy for those. Large multifamily, over 2 million, I'm probably not your guy for that. Now, if you want to buy multiple $1 million property, I can help out with that. But your large 2 million plus, there's other brokers, other agents that really would be your perfect fit for that. Regarding the asset classes, your single families, your BRRRRs, your flip properties, there are plenty of properties that fit into those. If you are BRRRRing or you're flipping properties, I'm going to stop you right here and just say, you're not probably buying off of the MLS. I'm the agent that says, hey, you're going to have to do your work yourself if you want a really good deal to make any profit. Now, if you want to work with me and you're like, hey, Darson, I want to put properties under contract that are on market. We're going to offer prices that are 20 to 30% below. That's fine. That makes sense. But anything that is close to asking price on market is not going to be a BRRRR or a flip. I'll just tell you right now. If you're a short-term rental or you're a medium-term rental, some of those properties can fit on the MLS. And the reason I say that is because they're going to bring in higher rent than a long-term rental will bring. So if you're trying to buy equity, you might have to go off market. If you're buying a property that fits the perfect profile for short-term rentals, meaning they're close to activities, the setup for the house is adequate for short-term rentals, and I can help out. We own a hospitality management company that actually manages short-term rentals for investors like yourself. Let me know. I'll run the analysis. Next up, medium-term rentals. You need to be close to hospitals. You need to be close to corporate, and that generally means other core city of Des Moines single-family houses, just like single-family houses that are long-term renting. But those properties need to be maybe lit better, have covered parking that your nurses are not coming home at 11 p.m. at night and having to walk across a busy street to get to their house because there is no off-street parking. Ask me how I know. There is a property currently listed that has no off-street parking that everyone wants to buy until they find that out. You always have to kind of dig a little deeper. Then you have your 2 to 4 unit properties. Now, I kind of mentioned earlier the multifamily properties. There's not very much available right now, but when they come up, if they're priced appropriately, we can put a solid offer in them and win them. I sell about, I'd say, a dozen to 2 dozen of them every single year. Very versed in the small multifamily market, but you have to know what to look for. You have to know what utilities are being paid. What are the current leases? When are they renewing? Are they under or over market rent? Is it a conversion or is it a built for purpose? Now, the conversion built for purpose, if you don't know what that means, you need to do your research. I've done a few videos on that, but I'm gonna explain that here. A built for purpose was never a single family house. Built for purpose, you can tell it was 2 different units when the property was built. It's gonna be zoned that way. So if you look on the assessor site, it's gonna be zoned correctly for a built for purpose multifamily property. If it's a conversion, that means it looks like a house. If you just saw the front picture of the house, it looks like a house that was cut up into a bunch of units. Those properties, they cash flow way better than your built for purpose, but they have quirks and things to look for, meaning what is the unit layout? Is your tenant profile, so you have on a built for purpose, 800 square foot, 2 bedroom, 1 bath property. It's gonna rent for X. Your same 800 square foot, 2 bedroom, 1 unit property on a converted property is gonna rent for X minus probably 10 to 20%. And the reason is because it feels quirky in that other property, the conversion property, because it used to be 2 bedrooms or a kitchen, a bathroom, and 2 bedrooms out of a huge historic house, right? They cut it up. And when they cut it up, it wasn't easy to make it flow well. So you're gonna have to walk through the kitchen to get to the bedroom, where the other bedroom is off the living room. Just, it's quirky, it's weird. And when you're buying remotely, if you haven't walked one of these properties, it's tough to articulate, it's tough to explain until you walk one, and then you're like, oh, that's what he's talking about. It feels low income. Just put it out there. Now, you can look at some of these properties, they're converted correctly and they're managed well. You can have some that feel really good, that have low deferred maintenance. And those are the ones that you wanna buy because they usually go for the same price as something that has a lot of deferred maintenance on a converted property. There are different levels of quality in converted properties where you're built for purpose, like the bones are typically pretty good, right? They might have some basement walls that might be bowing a little bit. You can take care of that. But in general, they're pretty pretty solid built properties, as long as they've been managed well. Then you have your 10 plus units. Most of these are gonna be your built for purpose apartment complex style. One thing to look out for these is who pays the utilities, because typically in the larger units, the tenants are paying most of the utilities. But you can have occasionally where the landlord pays for maybe all of the water, or where are the furnaces at? Right? Is it a boiler heating the entire building? And that's going to be a negative, as opposed to maybe every unit has their own furnace and own water heater. So you need to think about where are the capital expenditures. I would say if you can account for the capital expenditure expenses on the front end while you're purchasing, then you're going to buy a better product if you know when they're going to need replaced or if they're already replaced. So that was kind of all about buying the investment properties and what the properties look like in Des Moines. Now I'm going to get into when you're hiring a team or picking out a team to help you through that process. So this might mean you might be an out-of-state investor, or you might be an out-of-state investor that plans to relocate to Des Moines, but you're trying to, get an idea, should I move to Des Moines to invest in real estate? Or you might be someone that is local here in Des Moines and you just it's overwhelming to think about all the things. You've already decided Des Moines is your place, but you need to build out an agent, property manager, a lender, and contractors. First, finding an agent. Obviously, I'm gonna be biased. I'm an agent that works with investors. I would love to work with anyone watching this video. So if you are looking for an agent and you're trying to interview, reach out to me. One thing that I'm gonna ask you is why Des Moines and what you want in an agent. Because you being an investor, and I've been there, I was an investor and I bought 9 properties with no agent because I couldn't find an agent that would be willing to do the extra work that I was wanting them to do. And now as an agent, I fully understand what I was asking, and I wasn't asking it in a very easy way. I was asking the agents to do a lot of work that I as an investor should have been doing. Couple things, finding the property is not always the agent's job if you haven't, as an investor, define exactly what you want. Think about I don't know what the exact theory is, it's the red Corvette theory, right? You don't really see the red Corvettes until you go to buy one and you're like, oh my gosh, red Corvettes are everywhere. If you identify the property that you want very specifically and you explain that to an agent, they will find you that property, because every conversation they have with another agent, every conversation they have with other homeowners, they have your property in the back of their mind very definitively. So if you can define it, it's easier for the agent to bring you the property. The other way agents are going to bring you properties, they're going to set you up on MLS filters. MLS, Zillow, Realtor.com. I don't really care. If you're looking for small multifamily, I think it behooves you to set up on an MLS filter, because the MLS filter is going to have a better way to filter multifamily properties than what I have seen on Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com. Again, I don't care what Zillow is doing. I don't care that Zillow is trying to be an agent and trying to get you to use them to help buy a house. I don't care, because I think that they do maybe really good for your uneducated buyers to get them to use Zillow, but I think the local market knowledge of a good real estate agent is going to overpower that. Anyway, back to the finding a property. Agents will also be willing to reach out to other agents. If you tell them what you want, agents have Facebook groups, email list of other agents, email list of other investors to, hey, I know someone that wants to buy a 123 Banana Street type house. Here's a picture of it. Here are the stats of it. Go find me that property. I'm talking to other agents. If you bring me the seller, I have the buyer. We both get a commission. Both parties are happy. Most investor buyers don't understand that that is an option for their buying agent to do, because most buying agents they just don't do that. I'll just be real candid. They don't have the time. They don't have the process in place. It's something I like to do because the niche that I'm working in is investors. And there's only a dozen or so agents that really are working with investors. That's the brass tacks of it. If you're working with an agent that doesn't really do a lot of business with investors, you're paying the same and you're getting that type of service. The way to figure out if the agent works with investors, I struggle with this because there's no real easy way besides to show me the money, right? Show me how many transactions you've done with owner occupied versus non-owner occupied. Selling transactions, buying transactions, double-sided transactions. Most agents don't provide that to buyers, or buyers don't actually ask that question. If you do, you'll know real quick. Use number of transactions. Then agent has transacted with a non-owner occupied buyer seller in general. That'll tell you how much investor business that they do. Property managers. In Des Moines, property managers, there's a lot to choose from. I struggle with this because I've yet to find one that does everything perfectly. It's just like any industry. There are good ones and there are bad ones, and there are ones that specialize in some type of asset classes versus other asset classes. So you're going to need to interview property managers and get referrals, get reviews, get references from those property managers, other clients. Go to Facebook pages, go to realtors and ask, who's your recommended property managers? I've got 3 or 4 4 that I choose from, they've all sucked for past clients in some capacities, and they've all done really well for other clients. Depending on the asset class that you have is going to determine what property manager that I'm going to more highly recommend, or more, man, maybe you don't want to choose that property manager. To a point where I would love to start my own property management company, it's just not my cup of tea, my skill set right now. That's what it is. That's the property management. If you wanted to self-manage and you live out of state or you live in state, you have that option in Des Moines. The city of Des Moines, any of the suburbs too, they don't care if you manage your property yourself. I would say that you need to fully grasp what that's going to take, how much time you have. Are you a process person? Are you a people person? Do you let things keep you up at night? Is it going to take away from your personal life? And if it is, are you okay with that? My example is when I started investing in 2018, I told my wife, honey, we're buying a rental property. It's a 4-plex in rural Southern Iowa. It's going to cash flow really well, and it's going to be a part-time job for me. I don't know how much time it's going to take away from our family at the time, 2 kids, 2 and under. So we had a newborn and a roughly 2-year-old. I told her, hey, this is just a part-time job. Like, it's what we're doing. Are you okay with that? And she said, okay, I understand. It's not going to be that much time. And it wasn't. It was, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours a week. It was not every single week consistently. It was, hey, honey, I'm going to have to drive 2 hours after work to go lease up a unit down in Southern Iowa. Are you okay with that? I'm not going to be home to help put the kids to bed. She was fine with that. I was very communicative and upfront with her. Now, if you are not willing to do that on the self-management, maybe you're a local Des Moines resident and you're like, hey, I literally drive by the property that I'm going to buy every single day. I can manage that because it's a few minutes away. That makes the risk of you self-managing lower. Now, if that's you, but you are bothered by negative feedback from clients, meaning tenants tell you that your place is a pile of shit, and you're like, no, it's not. Your standards are too high, or you don't understand, or you don't know that you shouldn't put silverware down the dish disposal, right? Like those are literally things that people do. You as an investor know, hey, tenants are not always the most efficient of living. It's why they're renting at times. So you need to know, I'm going to have tenants that are complete assholes, and I'm going to have to sleep at night knowing that tenant just texted me at 10 p.m. that XYZ was wrong. Everyone talks about my toilet is overflowing at 2 a.m. I literally turned my phone off around 10 o'clock at night and on do not disturb technically. And I self-managed for 3 years. So you can do it. It's totally possible. You just tell the tenants, hey, if there's an emergency, these are the people that you call. And if you call them for non-emergent reasons, you're going to pay the service fee. There you go. They catch on quick when you tell them they're going to have to pay for things. Next on the list is for lenders. Are you going to go a national lender or are you going to go a local lender? You know, the last 2 years, I would say you need to have one lender and you need to build a relationship with them. And that is the lender that you use for every single transaction. Since I've become an agent and I've helped like dozens of other people use different lenders, I have since said you need to make friends with 3 or 4 lenders, talk with them and be upfront, hey, these are the type of loans, or this is the type of property that I'm probably going to use your services for. The lender's going to be fine with that. They're not quite like agents where they're a little butthurt when you use a different lender. They understand their products are not for everyone. Agents are a little different. They get a little bit pissy when you use different agents for different types of transactions. Lenders are usually not like that from my experience. I would say if they are, screw them, go find another one. Build a relationship with 3 or 4 lenders and make sure the products are different. And I say products are different because before I was an agent and before I've helped dozens of people buy properties, I didn't realize there were that many different loan products. And I think this is an injustice. Most buyers don't fully understand when they're picking a lender. You pick a lender, you say, hey, what's your rate? What are the terms? What's the product? And the lender is trying to pre-qualify you based on your situation. That's good because that's going to save you time and save the lender time. If you take a step back and you tell the lender, hey lender, this is not my only purchase. I'm gonna buy multiple properties. At some point, I'm probably gonna wanna do a portfolio loan. At some point, I'm gonna have more down or less down for a down payment. I'm gonna be buying $100,000 properties and $500,000 maybe multifamily properties. Help me understand how you, lender, can help me on that. The lender is they're probably gonna breathe easy and they're gonna be like, okay, I kinda understand what this person is looking for. These are the products that I have that can help this type of purchase. I don't have anything that can help that type of purchase. If you help maybe find a lender that's more strategic, it's gonna make it easier for you to know who do you talk to or who do you consult with. Then you can determine, because loans have just a handful of variables in the general scheme of things. You have your down payment, you have interest rate, you have mortgage insurance, you have points, you have closing costs and fees, and then you have amortization schedule. Like in general, those are the things that come into play on a loan. Now, you need to know, can you cross-collateralize that loan once it's closed? Meaning, if you have 5 loans with this one lender, will they give you a jumbo loan to cover all of those, pull equity out to go buy another property, to buy that 6th property? Next on the list is contractors. Contractors, I would say they're very similar to property managers. You can find some that are very good and you can find some that are very bad. And then there's different specialties within those contractors. Contractors is a very broad term. You have general contractors, plumbers, electricians, handymen. You have lawn maintenance, snow removal, I would consider all of those contractors. In general, you're probably not gonna hire one contractor to manage the entire project. And I say that simply because what I have found is most contractors that are willing to do that are going to charge you for that work, meaning they're gonna be the ones managing the subs or the teams underneath in that project, and they're gonna take a 10 to 20% upcharge on those subcontractors. Whereas if you're able to look at the project that maybe you're looking for flooring, paint, kitchen countertops, or kitchen cabinets, you can find specialty vendors that can do those things, and you should be able to learn. If you can't, I will help you figure that out, of the flow of what needs to be done first. You don't do all the flooring before you do all of the cabinets, because the cabinet people are probably going to scratch the flooring depending on what they're doing. Now it can be done right depending on the product, but you're probably gonna try to do all of the cabinets and the granite countertops first, and painting generally is gonna be done last so that nothing is scratched. You need to figure that flow. My point in that is you can hire the subs to do that. Finding those subs that are reliable and do good work is a really difficult process. I can help out. I can help connect you with other investors that might have subs to do that. You're gonna need to be very clear on what you're hiring for specifically, because subs, they're subs for a reason. They really usually are not very good business-minded folks. The good business-minded ones grow really quick and get out of the investor price usually pretty quick. So you need to be aware that you are going to be working with someone that is probably not incredibly detail-oriented. And if they are, you're paying for it, which is fine. Just know you have a trade-off. Are you doing the work on the front, or is the sub doing that work? When you're hiring contractors, lots of variables that go into that, but things that you need to pay attention to. To wrap this up, if you are buying in Des Moines, please reach out to myself and my team. I'm happy to help out. I'm happy to go through any of these through kind of an investor buyer consult. Information is below in this YouTube channel. Or if you like this content on the YouTube channel and you want to see more investor content, just subscribe so you start seeing all the videos that I'm putting out on the channel.